The other thing you're talking about, the immigration law. The Senate immigration law was not headed towards becoming law. Ideally, it was headed towards the House, where conservative members of the House were going to make it even better. It was the best we could do, given the fact of who was running the Senate at the time, but it was never going to go from there to the president's desk. And those are one of the things that I complained about. In fact, I was saying these standards are too low. It'll never pass the House, and it'll never become law, and on final passage, we can't do it. And no one has a right to be in this country illegally. No one has a right to come here illegally. In fact, no one has a right to come here at all. But no one has a right to come here illegally and have us scramble our laws. The Senate law is not going to be the way we confront this issue when I'm president. That was the best we could do as a starting point in a Senate controlled by Harry Reid, but it is not the way we're going to do it if I'm president and we have a Republican House and a Republican Senate. When I'm president, we're not doing anything until illegal immigration is under control and we've secured our border. And until that happens, nothing else is going to happen, period.
Things are getting murky in terms of this immigration issue. So the Gang of Eight proposes a bill. They bring it to the floor to vote on. Some of you guys propose amendments. The guys proposing amendments, including Cruz, are actually accused of supporting the bill. Now, two questions. By my understanding of the workings of the Senate, if there wasn't a bill, nobody would have to propose amendments in the first place. Am I correct about that?
Well, that's correct. And, yeah, sure. And, of course, the Gang of Eight stuck together, and they opposed every single amendment. They said they had reached a delicate compromise with all the special agreements, people. And they've been meeting in secret for months with President Obama. It was President Obama's bill in large part, along with Schumer and the Gang of Eight. And so they had the Chamber of Commerce, and they had La Raza, and they had the ACLU, and they had all these groups, but no law enforcement people were in it. No American citizens who were about to lose their jobs were invited in these secret meetings. And then when the bill hit the floor, they stuck together, and Ted opposed it.
I just want a definitive. Will you give me a definitive statement? Can we hear one? Cruz and you and Lee and a few of the others opposed the bill and were supporting amendments to try and kill it. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, that's exactly right. And we did our best. And it passed out of that committee with a big vote, bipartisan vote. It went to the floor of the Senate, and we opposed it on the floor of the Senate, and it passed with a substantial vote. And if it hadn't been for Cantor's defeat, according to an NPR report recently, that now Speaker of the House, Ron, had the votes to get it passed. And the Republican leader,
in other words, you're saying if Dave,
his own primary over immigration, and that's what stopped it at the last minute. It almost passed.
Yeah. So Dave Bratt's defeat of Eric Cantor outside of Richmond sent a message and a tsunami message that got the attention of the House Republicans, correct?
That is correct, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. And Ted did go. Ted, made an effort and was effective in talking to House members, urging a no vote. It was very dicey over there. It was a near-run thing. People forget that.
So Cruz went over there to lobby against it, right? Is that what you're saying? I didn't remember that. All right. I want to play you a part of this because the public has a right to know the truth. Here's part of what Rubio said in Rock Hill, South Carolina today. I really want you to listen to this. Cut 21, go.
The Senate immigration law was not headed towards becoming law. Ideally, it was headed towards the House, where conservative members of the House were going to make it even better. It was the best we could do, given the fact of who was running the Senate at the time, but it was never going to go from there to the president's desk. And those are one of the things that I complained about. In fact, I was saying these standards are too low. It'll never pass the House, and it'll never become law, and on final passage, we can't do it. No one
has just stop. I don't remember any of that. I don't remember any of that. I had Marco Rubio on my... Do you remember any of this?
That's not the way I remember it, basically. What happened was that the Gang of Eight met and did this bill. They sent it to the House. I don't think there was going to be much change of it, frankly. I think it was on the verge of being passed. It was scary to me. I was really worried. It could have gone either way. So anyway, the way I remember that.
Well, he certainly didn't allow any changes in the Senate, did he?
No, they resisted all changes except they got scared at the end, and they put in some more money for law enforcement. Some of the senators that they had to have their votes to get asked for more law enforcement, and they agreed on that at the very end. I don't think otherwise they made any changes. The White House had their office in the Senate office buildings, and they met and plotted every day. They met every morning to see how they could move this bill. And it was only the American people and some people like yourself who got the message out, and the tide began to turn. It was a dicey thing, I got to tell you. They had real momentum. They had spent $1 billion over a number of years, this group did, to pass this bill. It was designed, they had a campaign, like a presidential campaign, to move it to passage. And they put, people went on TV, went in our living rooms telling us, Republicans, that we needed to vote for this thing and pass it. So it was a big money deal, and the American people got their voice heard at the end.